Hey everyone, welcome into our latest Traded Black podcast. I'm your host, Shad Dales, and this is TDR's biggest developments for the week of June the 9th. And well, this week, it's been wild. From Mike Tyson knocking on the DEA's door, to federal lawmakers trying to nuke the hemp industry, to North Carolina moving towards full reform, there is momentum, there's backlash, and there's chaos in every direction. But of course there is. It's the cannabis industry. So with that, let's get into it. Let's kick things off with Iron Mike. Yes, that Mike Tyson showed up at the DEA's office in New York this week to advocate for cannabis rescheduling. Tyson's not just promoting his brand, he's pushing towards federal change. Now let's be real. If Tyson can get Trump to say anything constructive about cannabis, it could be a massive shift heading into the back half of 2025. Still, we're waiting on Trump's pick, which is Terry Cole, to be confirmed as the DEA administrator. And let's face it, these confirmations usually take around 100 days, so we may be in a holding pattern before anything official happens. Meanwhile, the GOP-led House Appropriations Committee is trying to throw a wrench in cannabis reform. And here's what we mean by that. A new report demands an investigation into the FDA's review that led to the HHS recommending Schedule 3. So listen to this. They claim the FDA used cherry-picked data, deviated from the standard scheduling process, and are sounding the alarm on high-potency marijuana and its supposed link to mental illness in teens. But while they're throwing shade at weed, the same report encourages more clinical research on psychedelics. So really, cannabis gets scapegoated while psilocybin and MDMA might be headed to the VIP table. Does this surprise you? Let's face it, more research is needed on both ends of the spectrum. Now into hemp, where it's an all-out war. A controversial new amendment in a federal spending bill would redefine hemp so narrowly it would ban nearly every consumable product without any quantifiable THC or even anything that feels like THC. Even Representative Dave Joyce, who's the co-chair of the Cannabis Caucus, supports this. Why? Because gas stations are flooded with Delta 8 and other unregulated products being sold to minors. But industry advocates are warning this could wipe out the CBD market entirely. We're talking billions in revenue and millions of consumers gone. This is a highly contested topic. Now to North Carolina, where Governor Josh Stein says enough is enough. And here's what we again mean by that. He just signed an executive order to create a cannabis advisory council, calling the current marketplace the Wild Wild West. So what's he mean by that? Well, vape shops are selling THC products with zero insight. So now the goal is to bring regulation, safety, and yes, eventually a full adult use market. So really expect policy recommendations by May of 2026 in a year from now. One thing to highlight as well, the state currently has no medical law, but that could change with new bills introduced this session. If Stein gets his way, North Carolina could be the next southern domino to fall, and that would be nice. We need more markets to come online. Now let's head to a market that is online, well, sorta, as we head to Ohio, where lawmakers are trying to rewrite parts of the voter-approved cannabis law from 2023. Bills like SB 56 and HB 160 aim to restrict key provisions like home grow, social equity, and even sharing cannabis with friends. So what's been some of the feedback? Critics say this violates the state's constitution, and legal scholars agree. So what are some of the changes? Well, they include tax THC drinks at $3.50 per gallon, banning non-retail sharing, and possibly moving intoxicating hemp products into dispensaries only. The bottom line, this is supposed to be a people-powered reform, but legislators are already erasing chunks of what voters asked for, so lawsuits really could be coming here. Now over in New York, where the OCM issued a statewide recall on 9 cannabis products from Indigo due to pesticide contamination. So right now, no adverse effects have been reported, but it's another reminder the legal system can work when enforced. Let's move down to Minnesota, where lawmakers raised the recreational cannabis tax from 10% to now 15% while cutting the local government revenue share entirely. Operators are calling it a gift to the illicit market before the legal one even launches, so there is some confusion going on in Minnesota. And if that wasn't enough, a House subcommittee just backed a federal bill that would make most hemp-derived cannabinoids illegal, including edibles. So if passed, it could completely dismantle the U.S. hemp industry as we know it. One step forward, 2 steps back, it appears. Now on to the business side, where Apollo Technology Capital is bringing the heat in its activist campaign against MediPharm Labs. They're calling for a full board overhaul via the gold proxy card. So what's their message? Apollo's message is blunt: share price destruction, mismanagement, and unjustified executive pay. So what's their plan? Elect 6 new directors, slash costs, and push the company towards a 10x return. So really the outcome could reshape MediPharm's entire future, and the shareholder vote is expected any day now. So pay attention to this next week because we should have a final outcome at some point. We also saw some news this week where Forefront Ventures officially entered into bankruptcy proceedings in Canada following its U.S. receivership filing. B. Riley Farber is handling the case, and all eyes are on whether the company restructures or folds. Meanwhile, Vex Science, they swapped out its auditors from Reliant CPA to MNP LLP, citing its operational scale. And right now, no red flags were found, but the move signals the company is gearing up for a more robust financial presence. Now let's talk about a big one, and that is Air Wellness. The company entered into a limited waiver agreement with its senior note holders after delayed Q1 filings and potential missed payments. This now gives them until June 19th to renegotiate terms, but let's face it, it's not a permanent fix. So moving forward, the business does continue to operate, but the clock is ticking on a larger financial restructuring, something we've talked about with Viridian Capital's Frank Colombo, who said right now, if it was restructured, as much as 90% of the company would be given away. Not an ideal situation. Let's now move to some positive news this week. Tilray announced their reverse stock split authorization passed, though the company is hitting pause on implementation while it evaluates timing and strategy. So really the move is aimed at institutional appeal, NASDAQ compliance, and long-term M&A positioning. Keep an eye on this one. Also, the Cannabis Company Holdings launched premium clean label Coast Gummies in Maryland. So what are they? It's THCV for energy, CBN for sleep, no artificial additives, and edibles are growing fast. And let's face it, the Cannabis Company Holdings, they want a bigger piece. Next, Leaf Brands, they closed in on a New York Type 1 processor license, bringing its extraction expertise from California to now the East Coast. Why? Well, New York sales are expected to hit $1.5 billion by 2025, so it's a smart, high-margin expansion play. And really, it's official. They're now a multi-state operator. So let's bring in all the developments for this week. Whether it's Tyson at the DEA, Congress hammering hemp, or activist investors flipping boards, this week proves the cannabis industry is anything but quiet. But again, does that surprise you? It's the cannabis industry. That's why we love it, and that's why we hate it. It's volatile, but here we are. And with that, that's a wrap for this week for TDR's biggest developments in cannabis for the week of June the 9th. I'm your host, Shad Dales. Let's keep this conversation going, so leave your comments below. What was the biggest developments for the week in cannabis for you? And do you have any important questions you want to ask us? Again, leave some comments below. We'd love to get your feedback. As usual, if you get a chance, like, subscribe, share this video with your network. We'd appreciate it here at the TDR Trade to Black podcast. Also, an important thing too, if you want to stay up to date each day about all the news I've just outlined to you, you can by scanning this QR code and becoming a daily baked-in newsletter subscriber that updates you every day, weekdays, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, giving you all the latest information on the business and reform side of the cannabis industry. And lastly, a reminder, again, please subscribe. We just hit over 50,000 subscribers on our channel a week and a half ago. So big thank you to everyone who's been supporting us over the last couple of years. And right now, our data shows that 20% of our audience that consumes our content each month is subscribed and 80% is not. So let's grow this baby. If you get a chance, subscribe. In the meantime, and like I always say, stay open-minded, stay connected, and I'll see you next week live on the floor at Mary Jane in Berlin. It should be a good week. That's it for today. I'm your host, Shad Dales, and thanks again for watching, everyone.